Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday, which means time for my Survivor recap. So, Survivor season 43 premiere. I thought it was a really good premiere. So you got 3 tribes, red, yellow, blue, and right away they get right into a challenge. They had to have 2 people get these heavy crates, 2 people pull this boat in the water, and then they had to get the crates to form a cube. Easy concept, but we're just watching it. I'm like, oh, I could see how that could be challenging. And then one had to get up and use bamboo to get their flint, and red ended up winning. And they got flint, obviously. So the thing with the first episode is, like, I call it the honeymoon phase. Like, everyone's, getting to know each other and everything's all rainbows and unicorns. But as I would point out when I was live tweeting, it's all rainbows and unicorns until somebody goes look for an idol. Got to give the people credit. Nobody went to look for an idol. So these are some smart people this season. And there is some very smart people on here. On yellow, the two tribes that lost, they have to choose between savvy or sweat, and yellow chooses to be savvy, and they have to make it into they have to only there's this number made out of bones, and they have to make it into the biggest whole number, only moving 2 spots. I'm like, oh god, I wouldn't know how to do that. And then the blue tribe ended up choosing sweat, and they had to dig in the sand to get their camp supplies. And I'm like, that's a lot better compared to what they you have done the last 2 seasons for that whole scenario. So they both won. And I have to give blue credit. They had 4 hours to look for their camp supplies, and it only took them 30 minutes. So kudos to the both of them. The thing with that is that is when you volunteer, is that you can't talk to the other 4 members. So then you 2 are off by yourself. So then you're not getting to know your tribe mates at camp, and that puts you at a risk, because another thing that's dangerous in the game is power duos, and they could easily bond out there while they're digging, and they could become an alliance. So you always just want to be careful what you choose. And one thing I did know, Sammy made a point saying that he wanted to do the sweat because he didn't want people to know that he's good at puzzles, and he literally got it like right then and there. But he didn't want people to know that he was good at puzzles because that he didn't want a target on his back. But then that could go against him, because they might say, oh, well, you're good at puzzles, but you're not stepping up to solve the puzzle. So at red, they're already forming alliances. I saw it coming. Justine and Noelle forming an alliance, and then you have Jesse, Nanika, and Cody. Don't know how well that one's gonna go, and I feel like that one will go a lot better than Justine and Noelle. And even they took note, like, oh, those 2 went off by themselves. Oh, they're talking too much together, so we need to vote them out. I'm like, the whole power duo thing. And I have to give major props to Noelle for being out there. I mean, to have your leg amputated and to be out in this very physically demanding and mentally demanding and social demanding game, major props to you, Noelle. That's amazing. So, and yellow, Owen's trying to figure out the tribe, and seems like he's getting along with everybody. He's giving me some Wu vibes, and in the sense that they were both very chill and laid back, and they were able. Wu was also good in challenges. He only screwed up at the end when he decided to take Tony. So seems like he's doing the right thing. Like, he's talking to people, trying to form relationships, and etc. And Survivor really knows how to get at your heartstrings. Ellie revealed how her sister died, and it was so sad. I was like, I didn't cry, but I almost did. And it felt like in that moment, because it was the three girls, Ellie, Mariah, and Janine, they're so bonded now and everything, like all-girls alliance, and I would love for there to be an all-girls alliance. People get so intimidated out there in the game when they hear all-girls alliance. It's like, oh my god, we need to get the girls out now. So then Blue also is in that mindset to have an all-girls alliance. And sorry, I got a message on my phone. The one I really like out there on Blue is Lindsay. She seems to be playing a really good game right now. She seems to be a very strong player, like, making relationships and such. So on Yellow, Mike and Ellie bond over metal music. And I have to give Mike credit. Like, he sees that people might perceive him as weak because just the simple fact that he's older. So he's really trying to build relationships and everything. The thing of it is, you don't want to like overdo it. The same thing with Owen. Like, even though Owen was doing the social game, like, you don't want to play too hard too fast. With the Blue Tribe, Carla and I got Gio and Ryan's. I'm getting them too mixed up, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but Carla and Gio were bonding over being in the LGBT community, and it's really hard, being in the LGBT plus community, because there's always that fear of not being accepted, because as they pointed out, like, sometimes when you're in that community and you reveal who you are to your loved ones and everything, they're not receptive and they like shun you, and it's so sad. So it's nice they're able to bond over that. And Carla is in a really good position in the sense that everybody wants to work with her, and she has a lot of options out there to make it basically any alliance she wants to. With Red, Jesse revealed his tattoos and revealed that he was in a gang, and he was the first in his family to go to college. And he's mentioned how his family didn't go to college, or they had addiction. So I have to give Jesse credit for, wanting to better himself and wanting to create a different life for himself and work hard at that to get to that point. So that's amazing, Jesse. So let's see here. We get to that point where there's 3 people. One person from each tribe has to choose to go on the boat, and Carla goes for blue, Mike goes for yellow, and Dwight goes for red. And Sammy also brought up an interesting point. You almost want it to be a random draw, like in the sense of deciding who goes, because you don't want to be too eager to volunteer, because they know from watching season 41 and 42 that when this stuff happens, there's some kind of advantage involved. And I gotta say, it really changed up from the last 2 seasons. So they have to go to this rock, and the rock's not like up on a hill like it usually is. Like, they have to actually get in the water to go to this big rock. And then the whole risk your vote, keep your vote thing is still the same, but the rules are you have to the risk your vote, one player will get an advantage, and then depending on how many people choose to risk their vote will determine what bag they choose from. So Carla chose to keep her vote, and then Mike and Dwight decided to risk their vote. So one person is going to get an advantage, the other person's going to lose their vote. So it ended up being Mike that got an advantage, and Dwight lost his vote at his next tribal council. And Mike actually got an immunity idol, and it's good for 2 tribal councils, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there, because I didn't quite hear that when it played. If it's only good for 2 tribal councils, or he can't use it until after he's been the 2 tribal councils. So comment down below about that. But they were all honest about what it's all about, because they could make it whatever they want, but again, since they've seen season 41, 42, they kind of know what goes on out there, so it's kind of hard to lie when they already know what's going on. And Dwight, they didn't believe him. Cody wants him out because he thinks he can't trust him, because he said that story's not believable. And it's like, wow, the first time in a while somebody actually tells the truth and not believe. But Survivor, everybody's lying all the time. So let's see, and then the immunity challenge, they had to, and I gotta give the production team credit. That is the best first immunity challenge ever. It was freaking epic just watching it. I'm like, there was so much to it. So they had to race to get, let me see here, race to collect 3 balls, and then they had to get on my handwriting's horrible. They had to have one player dig to get through, and then they had to go up a ramp and across a beam, and then they had to choose between 3 different puzzles. And that's pretty epic, because first of all, the way you dig will either you could dig fast and you can zip right through it, or if you don't go under the certain way, then that could cost you time. And they were all working very well together. Like, Blue is very good with the teamwork all around, but with the whole puzzle thing, Blue actually ended up winning immunity. They chose a different puzzle, and when I looked at the puzzles at first, I'm like, oh, they chose a hard one because it's a whole maze. But then actually watching them do it, because the thing was, if you got there first, you had the choice between the 3 puzzles, whereas the other 2 had to pick what's left. So they had to pick a maze. Yellow, I believe, had a big obstacle board, and Red had a straight shot. And one might argue, well, the straight shot would be the easiest because you're literally just tilting it this way, but you're tilting it this way, and then what happens? It's going to go this way. The hardest one, I think, was for Yellow, because there was it was like a game of, I don't know why I kept thinking it was like Mousetrap for some reason. I know it's not Mousetrap, but it was giving me like board games type of thing, because like you would go one way, and if you were off just a hair, it would go to the side. So the Blue was very smart to choose the maze. So they get back, and so I'm sorry, I didn't even tell who lost. Red came in second, so Yellow's going the tribal. So Mike says that he was part of the puzzle, and he wants to take accountability because, he stepped up and he volunteered. And normally in these cases, if you step up and you volunteer, you need to take responsibility if you lose. So he said he's not going to play his idol. He's going to do his shot in the dark because he believes there should be consequences. I'm like, in a way I get it, but at the same time, that could be one of the dumbest moves ever. And Mariah's name is one of the first thrown out there because they perceive her as being weaker. Owen's name is also out there because they perceive him as a potential threat. Sammy sees him as his biggest competition out there, whereas Mariah, I don't know why they see her as weak, though. I guess maybe because she's very likable and very bubbly. I mentioned that earlier in my cast assessment winner pick video, and I'll mention it again in a minute. But yeah, so Mike actually doesn't look like he's in the chopping block, so it looks like he keep his idol. So he's in a really good spot right now. So they get to tribal and they're talking about how they were all kumbaya, this and that, and they're kind of kumbaya for too long, and they really wanted to be the final 6. And even like when the episode started, like they looked like they vibed well together, and I said right away, like, Yellow looked to me like they're gonna be the chill, laid back type, and I was spot on there. And accountability was talked about taking accountability into challenges, and how, again, the game's always evolving. That's not usually like old school Survivor, like that would be the reason why you're voted out, because you made the team lose the challenge, whereas that's not necessarily the case anymore. So even though you might cause the team to lose the challenge the first time, that doesn't mean you're going to go out first. And ultimately ended up being Mariah that got sent home, and it's kind of what I feared when I said my winner picks video. I said, I like Mariah. I love her personality. When I tweeted before, I said Rainbow Queen, and I mean that in the best way possible. I love the rainbow colors, and she just has an amazing personality. But I thought, you know, that might go against her because they might perceive her as weak, or she might be too bubbly in the sense it came across as annoying. I don't think they perceived her as annoying at all. I just feel like, you know, I mean, I don't know why they perceived her as weak, really. I mean, she didn't really mess up the challenges. I guess she didn't talk to enough people, but she said she talked to everybody, so it might have just been all about perception. And sometimes that's what the votes are in Survivor. So, and first impressions mean a lot out there in the game. So next week, it looks like lines are going to be drawn, and it looked like there might be a medevac, because it looked like anyway, because you know how editing is, somebody was on the ground holding their knee. I'm like, ew, because we haven't had a medevac in a while. That's interesting. I mean, that's always sucks when you have a medevac. Oh no, technically last season they did. So yeah, comment down below about the premiere, what you thought of it, who your winner picks are, and what you thought about first voted out. I loved the season premiere. I feel like this is going to be a really good season. There's a lot of great minds out there. Sammy is giving me major Spencer vibes. Like, I feel like he's going to be a very big threat out there. I like Carla. I like a lot of people. There's not one person right now that I could say I hate, and that's something, because usually sometimes, you know, you could see the villains right away. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed Survivor tonight. If you guys want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS, or you can live stream it on Paramount Plus. Until next time, stay regal.